My last video about remote work versus return to office generated a higher number of polarized comments than anything I've shared in the 11 months I've been making these videos. I want to thank all of you who take the time to comment and message. I really enjoy hearing what you all think and getting your different perspectives. After reading through over 500 comments, there are several things that came up quite a few times that deserve a response. First is a clarification, because I never said it directly and this seems to have caused some confusion. My point about making people connections at work in that video wasn't about turning your colleagues into friends. It was about building and nurturing your professional network, which is one of the absolutely most critical things for anyone who needs to earn money versus those of you living off of substantial personal wealth. If you're currently paying someone else to hold your phone and flip through these videos so you don't develop scroller's callus, which will only get you mocked at the country club, say next now so your valet can advance the feed because there's nothing here for you. For the rest of you, let me repeat, it is critically important that you invest effort into creating and maintaining a solid professional network. And a professional network is not 2,000 connections on LinkedIn who don't really know you. The core of your professional network will be people that know you well and who trust you, respect you, believe you will and can do what you say you'll do, and ideally, they like you. Yes, you may start with some people from school who learned who you are via your performance in that context, but as the years go by and you start to accumulate professional experience, your professional network should evolve to include people you have worked with, who you've completed projects with, who trust, respect, believe in, and ideally like you. This should be obvious, but the specific value of a professional network is the ability to provide mutual bidirectional help in the productive parts of your life, usually income generating, but maybe just your serious mission. For example, if you work in a nonprofit. Maybe this takes the form of a pathway to a new job opportunity, consultation related to your new startup idea, access to capital, or warm introductions to other new, awesome, and helpful people to add to your network. Ignoring the importance of your network is like playing a life or death game, which you are, and waving off an offer of the cheat codes with a, nah, I got this. And building that network is going to be much harder if you treat your workplace like a slot in your home office door where the work comes in and results go out. People you never get to know are going to forget you 5 days after your Teams or Slack account is deleted. And now let's address two other misconceptions. First, people you've never worked with, like your friends, usually make a shitty professional network. As you become more specialized in a work domain, your friends and family are going to become less and less helpful. Out of all of the friends I've made outside of work, maybe 2 total are anywhere near a domain where my experience would be applicable. And there are only 1 or 2 non-work related friends that I could ever directly hire or otherwise help professionally. Your friends and family will be the main reason you develop the ability to configure multiple brands of wireless routers from memory and know the top 5 most likely reasons why it's not fucking printing again. But for most of us, they're absolutely not going to help you find your next job. And number 2, your professional network isn't your company or any company. It's a set of individual people who can help each other. Some of the video comments seem to suggest that forming deeper connections with coworkers is somehow selling out to the corporate overlords. So you're saying that all of your coworkers, everyone but you, is some sort of Borg Matrix Link company shill? So if you treat those people as anything other than agents in your time for money transactions, you've compromised some sacrosanct work-life barrier? Like we need to cleanly bucket people based on where we meet them? Like peas, Salisbury steak, and cobbler and a fucking TV dinner? What? Okay, as I said earlier in the last video, I wasn't talking about making friends at work, but now I'm going to. This is from AWS reInvent in 2016. Most of the people in this video were my coworkers who I trust, respect, believe in, and like. We all became friends, and though I haven't worked with any of them for over 2 years, I've communicated with each of them in the last month. I've given or taken professional help to or from all of them. And this is the woman who replaced me when I left my last CTO job. This is from 2019 when we were at the Google offices in New York. We trust, respect, believe in, and like each other. We haven't worked together for 2 years, but we're friends. She's the first person that reviewed my book on Goodreads, and she just sent me an AI image she created for some reason on a postcard via postal mail, which I don't entirely understand, but we're 100% friends. A long ago coworker turned friend, the lunatic I mentioned in my book, Don Bosco, introduced me to my wife. While I've worked with a lot of people over my 33-year professional life that I did not become friends with, I certainly met plenty of fantastic people who became good friends of mine. I'm certainly not saying everyone you work with should be your friend. I'm not saying not to make friends outside of work. I'm not saying there isn't some danger in making friends at work. For example, here we see a picture of me from my very private personal life that my CEO added to a company all-hands presentation after she friended me on Facebook. But in spite of those concerns, an absolute no friends from work ever policy is more poopy pants curmudgeonly than even I'm capable of, and I think we all know that's saying something. Apparently an unpopular opinion in 2023, but the more you allow your job to become entirely fee-for-work, transaction-based, the more that hurts you. If your relationship to a company, but more importantly, the people who you work with at that company, is nothing more than a slot in your door where they slide in work and money and you give them back a result, you've let yourself become a well-defined, single-purpose service and conveniently replaceable commodity. Does that seem like a good idea when it keeps getting easier for employers to move work to buyer-favorable economies anywhere on the planet? It's clear that the model of spending 20 plus years at the same job is fading, and what about the impact of AI on your value and marketability over the next 10 or 15 years? Investing months or years of your life getting nothing from your employer but a paycheck and a line for your resume is, in the opinion of this old man yelling while shaking a fist at the sky, a pretty big mistake. Like everything else on the internet, consider this all to be very ignorable advice. I'm not looking to convince anyone or debate. But I am a proponent of trying to create real people connections in all contexts, including work. I will have a beer with literally anyone. I'd sincerely like to extend this as an invitation. I will have a beer with you, and if you don't drink, I'll have both beers. We'll tell stories, laugh, complain, and maybe argue. I know that the experience will be interesting. And I'm certain in this too short life we've got, I will not later look back and say, I sure wish I hadn't had a beer with that fuck Todd, Tyler, Toby, Tabitha, Tammy, Trina, whoever you may be. Real people connections in all contexts above all else. Except for that fuck Kyle, he knows what he did.